And we are live on the SideQuest, a very special post PAX edition, the return of the PAX, as you might say. It's also the return of the PAX, apparently. I'm Dolly Domofsky. You're watching SideQuest and blah, blah. I'm Dolly Domofsky. Joining me is Taylor Bliss to my left, your right. And the person below us, the person who we sent into the quarantine zone, JJ Holder, went to PAX West.
Yeah, I did. Don't call it a comeback.
Literally, don't call it a comeback.
Yeah.
So we're gonna dive right in. We want to talk PAX. You got to see stuff, which we'll talk about. But first, more importantly, what was this show like?
Small.
Okay.
Very small. Old PAX small.
Wow.
Pre moving to Seattle small. The biggest game there was Tales of Arise. Which I didn't bother getting because the line was always like 2 hours, and I'm like, that game
was the only thing anybody had to line up for.
Yeah, and that game comes out this week, so it's like I don't give a shit. The only thing that would have behooved me of waiting that line was I could have gotten a cute keychain out of it, but I didn't need the keychain that bad. The branding for it, like when you went to like the merch booth and the passes and everything, was Camp PAX.
Okay,
which. I wish they leaned into that, because it really was kind of the atmosphere, like a summer camp, like you're just kind of going off for the long weekend to spend time with some friends, play some video games, and maybe do some activities. I think it would have been better if they would have leaned into that a little harder. Gussy it all up. Make the merch stand look like a cabin or whatever, like have those wayposts, like, make it look like Crystal Lake, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Camp counselors or whatever. I think
instead of the enforcers, put them in like, old like camp counselor gear with like shorts and sun hats and stuff, and whistles and stuff. I think it probably would have been fun if they would have leaned into the branding a little bit of that, but it's just sort of reserved for because that's what, like I said, that's what the feel was.
Sure.
But that was really sort of reserved for the merchandise, the sweatshirts, the t-shirts, the hats.
I mean, I know that it doesn't exactly work this way, but I feel like you could just kind of lean into it like the way that Steam summer sales or Steam seasonal sales do it, where they create this whole like mini aesthetic that lasts for it's been doing the rounds on a lot of the esport tournaments as well, where they've been hyper focused on just a weird style for like a 5-day tournament, and then it's just like all right, everybody dresses up and all the set pieces are there, and it adds a lot to something that is small.
Yeah, exactly. That's sort of exactly what this. Because like, what's typically set across multiple rooms and multiple levels and everything was sort of like the expo hall had sort of one main room of sort of content, and like the main entrance into the expo hall of PAX is where it's usually like you go in there, the lights are off, and it's just the music's thumping and everything, dead quiet, lights are on, and it's mostly like merch booths this time around, which is not typically a thing with PAX. It's usually not it's not that kind of show. It's not a Comic-Con. It had much more of a Comic-Con feel this time.
Okay. Wow.
Because like this main like this first room had the band land where all the bands and like other creators were there, and then it's just like a whole bunch of booths selling like dice and tabletop games and like accessories for that stuff, play mats. That was the entirety of the if you've been to PAX West before, they have to connect the two, there's a sky bridge to connect the two expo halls, and the sky bridge was just all merch this time as well. Really heavily leaning into dice this year. Just like 4 or 5 booths selling different types of dice. I
mean, it's hot commodity for a lot of the as D&D has become and
it's become sort of a
popularity.
Yeah, and it's kind of become Acquisitions Incorporated, which is their Dungeons and Dragons campaign, like has become a big thing for Penny Arcade. It's sort of starting to supersede like the comic strip itself. It's like this big thing. They get a big like at PAX, they have these big elaborate shows where everyone, like all the players are in costumes. I think the last time they did one would have been at East, I think, and like Xavier Woods, the professional wrestler Xavier Woods, was there with playing a character, and they did it again this year. They did but it was much smaller because obviously nobody showed up. Even one of the Penny Arcade guys wasn't there this weekend. The artist,
Really?
Mike, wasn't there this weekend.
Really? Okay.
They had the Penny Arcade panels, didn't show up. Did Acquisitions Incorporated, which, his character is one of the most popular characters, wasn't there. I don't know what the deal was with that.
Wow.
I don't know if he just didn't feel comfortable going, or if maybe he's an anti-vax weirdo that didn't want to show up. I don't know. But
so he's not in our group. He's not in the he's not in the Facebook group.
Yeah. So in
joke.
terms of dealing with the pandemic around us, did all right. Luckily they didn't like herd you like cattle, which was nice. Like you went into the room, they really sort of respected the social distancing. You're used to going to PAX and just having them like really get up into your neighbor's business. Like fill in, if it's an empty space, fill it up. And it just didn't really happen this time. Some of the lines to see some of the games sort of got that way, but that's just because this is the nature of sort of the footprint of some of these booths. But in order to get in, you had to go to the Sheridan across the street to get your badge and your bracelet. And the bracelet was one of those. It wasn't like a paper bracelet or something. It was like a cinch bracelet. And
the cloth or the vinyl or whatever.
Yeah, cloth. It was cloth. It was fabric.
Yeah,
and it had teeth in the cinch, so you couldn't take it off. Like in order to get it off, you would have to cut it.
You couldn't.
That's the new style.
Yeah. I mean, but like it didn't matter because you could just go like the next day and just get another bracelet. Like you just show them your Vax card or your negative test, and I don't know what good that is because you're gonna get it. Like,
yeah.
I don't know.
Wasn't there like some something came out from the show, or did I read that wrong? That
no, not yet. But there is like if you go to the subreddit, there's like they've created a thing like, hey, if anyone gets a test after this and tests positive, please post it here because we would like to know.
Got it.
So there's that. But yeah, you had the bracelet. You had to have the social distancing was all kind of in place. You didn't get to touch anything without them hosing it down.
Honestly, that's the way it should be.
It should be
at every game, at every conference.
They didn't do it at all in the early days. Hence me catching the swine flu.
Yep, I think all of us caught something at some point from there.
They started doing better in following years, but still you could sit there and watch. Like you could just walk up, somebody walks away and you just go like, okay, well I guess I'm playing this.
There was a really bad pink eye outbreak when Oculus first showed the Rift. Was it at PAX East? I think it was. They did because they weren't really cleaning it. They were just like they'd hand you the Oculus and then when you're done they would maybe wipe it, but if it didn't look gunky they just handed it to the next person. And I'm like, whoa. I was first in the morning on that.
There was Oculus recently did a sort of like not really a recall, but there was some complaints because the Quest 2 uses a fabric visor. And people were breaking out because they had sensitivities to that. So if you just registered your serial number, they sent out a silicone thing to put over it.
Got it.
I just got mine, and it makes all the difference. It makes all the difference, and everyone that was running their stuff on Quest 2 out there had that silicone thing because that wipes down much better than
cloth for sure.
Cloth.
So what did you see now? Tell me. You mentioned
I decided I was just going to put together like my 5 favorite things.
Okay, cool.
There's a lot of stuff. But a lot of it was just sort of stuff that you've already seen before. It was just kind of like cute but not really notable. Like the PAX 10 this year was interesting stuff. They had like we've gotten, if you've checked your email recently, you probably saw some of the stuff like neon noodles and
Oh yeah.
and a lot of it is, most of them are back us on Kickstarter now.
Sure.
A lot of the stuff is just really leaning in the Kickstarter thing. But the PAX 10 also wasn't like the PAX 10 this year. I think 2 of them couldn't make it, so it was like the PAX 8. But they still branded it PAX 10. But yeah, I think the things that I saw that I think I'll start with Apogee was there. And they had a game called Turbo Overkill.
Turbo Overkill. Okay.
Turbo Overkill is definitely just, it's, when you hear Apogee, it's kind of what you would expect Apogee to make as a first-person shooter if they were still doing that stuff in 2021. It is just fast, loud, kind of like, not really, it's not like a pixel graphics, but it's pixelated. It's got that sort of like low-res thing going on, sort of like a modern take on like classic like Doom and Quake and Wolfenstein stuff. But yeah, you're a guy with a chainsaw for a leg. Just
usually it's a chainsaw arm, so I like the idea of a chainsaw leg. Okay.
Yeah, so it's like the what was the Grindhouse movie? I forget the Grindhouse movie. But
oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. Okay,
yeah. But yeah, and it's like you're smoking cigars in first person and like flipping off the enemies, and it's got that attitude that you'd expect from a 90s FPS, and it just played fun. It had a nice double jump to it, which is always welcome in a first person shooter these days. Stupid weapons, like you're dual wielding like pistols, but you're holding them like akimbo the whole time, which is always I always look forward to that. That's good. And it has like you get to a point where you get to a point in the level and it kind of turns into like vaporwave aesthetics. It's like this neon, like low res skyscape and everything. And it's definitely one that it seemed definitely early on still. It seemed like most of the Apogee stuff was stuff that was like, come to our Kickstarter, or it comes when it comes kind of thing. Like most things were 2022 there. Almost everything was 2022 in one way or another. Very few things were like coming this year. But this year's almost getting close to being over. These are indie guys, so they don't really have any commitments to have to really. One of the things that I saw was it's called Captain Toonhead. And that was one of the few things that I actually made an appointment for, because typically you didn't really need to make appointments for anything this time. You could just walk up and see most of the stuff. But it's a VR game, and and they had a small booth, so it's like if there's like 5 people in front of you, it's like a 90-minute wait. And I'm like, I'm not waiting 90 minutes. They sent an email a while ago. I'll reply to this email and say, hey, can I come by tomorrow and see this?
Captain Toonhead versus the punks from outer space.
Yes, it's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
That is a very, very cool VR game. I even said it to them. I said a major problem that VR has right now is that it's all very much the same. Everything's just kind of a shooter game or a rhythm game, and that's kind of what you get. That's really how you get. And they kind of made something. It's a tower defense game, but it's an FPS. But it's like an FPS tower defense game at the same time. So you are. This humanity has been absolutely like wiped out, and you're sort of like the last vestige of hope to help out. It's not humanity as a whole, but yeah. But you're also just kind of an idiot.
Okay.
You're the janitor of this spaceship, and you're the last man standing, and so you just kind of take it upon yourself to save the day. So and the only things you really have are about your character is that you're a janitor and you love cartoons. So he puts a TV on his head, gets in a stupid costume, and starts fighting these aliens.
T-Rad, that's awesome.
Yeah, T-Rad. And it's got bonkers weapons and stuff. And they're Latin American, so it's got a lot of that humor in it. You'll see some things like the sandal, or the like a pinata thrower, a picante thrower, or whatever. It's got zany weapons in it, but it's tower defense. So you're sitting there and you got your guns and you're shooting at the enemies as they're coming, but you're also placing these zany weapons down.
There he is.
Yeah, down the down the path, and they're trying to get your those little yellow cubes are like an energy source, and so the bad guys are trying to get those cubes and take them back through their gate. So once they get them, they drop it where you finish them off, where they get killed. So you sort of have to take that into account when you're doing some of this stuff with like the tower defense. So the only places you can move to are where you've set your weapons. So like if you want to move down the lane, you have to like teleport to a weapon that you've set up. And it's a very simple tower defense game, but it's like narratively driven. It's actually pretty funny. It's actually got a good sense of humor to it, with a lot of like goofy Saturday morning 90s cartoon references and stuff. Like you'll see some Ninja Turtles stuff pop up.
I love this visual style, by the way.
It's
really cool.
And it looks really good. It has a really like it definitely has a 90s Saturday morning cartoon aesthetic, and it seems pretty early on still, but what I saw of it is really, really nice. I'm definitely going to keep my eye on this one, and I'm definitely going to I'll probably get a review this one when it's done, because it seems like it's definitely something that's right in my wheelhouse. And the VR, sort of the way the VR works in it, just feels good for like a tower defense game. Like just looking down the laneways left and right and up and down, and the way you zip around and build stuff, and it just feels good for the VR atmosphere. Yeah, I was really excited about this one. And
Awesome.
and the dudes were really nice. They were really thrilled that I clearly must have been the like, I wouldn't be surprised like if I was the only person that was like really sort of like interested in it, because it was just kind of tucked in the corner of this thing, and I just saw it and I was like, this looks fun. And I'm the VR guy technically on this site, so I have to see the VR stuff. Like I saw, because I think I mentioned when we were talking about our favorite games, and so I Expect You to Die too.
We totally don't.
No, absolutely not. I don't even.
Sorry, Jonesy. Yeah. But yeah, like I Expect You to Die 2 was there, and I played that, but there's nothing to talk about with that. But because this is unique. This is something cool. That's like, no, it seems I haven't played any tower defense games in VR, and so this sounds like a really neat. It sounds like a really cool kind of mashup, or a cool idea to actually do that.
And it's cool that like you're doing your tower defense stuff, but you as the character are also involved in it, because you're building your stuff and also shooting and trying to attack as well, as opposed to just
hopping in those front lines. That's cool.
Yeah. No, it was. I definitely want to see more of it. So I really enjoyed that. Which one should I do next? I'll save. Yeah, I'm gonna do the last two because they were from the same publisher, and I liked them both very, very much. So I'll do No Longer Human next. No, spelled lowercase n, letter 0. And it was announced at the show. Taylor hated the trailer. We posted that in the Discord.
Yeah.
And it has a hell of an aesthetic. It is.
I didn't say I hated the trailer. I just said that it wasn't my favorite. It's going to be hard to sort of.
I'm gonna try to find this trailer. It's in the Discord. All right, let's.
It's because I think it's on their Twitter feed. I can put the Twitter into the chat over here. Here we go. That's their Twitter feed.
All right, cool. You keep talking. I'll put it in there.
Yeah. This thing will never trailer well. I can't imagine it ever, like, looking at it and seeing it. Like, you have to be drawn by that aesthetic immediately in order to, like, want to follow up on it, because the trailer doesn't tell you anything really about what this game is doing. But even playing it, it's a fairly simple, like, hack and slash side-scrolling game. Like, you're comboing and everything, but it is all about its aesthetics. And yeah, flashing light warning. Yes.
Whoa, totally. Flashing light warning, everybody.
It is definitely if you have a seizure condition.
And close your eyes right now.
Yeah, you're never going to be able to play this game. You're never going to be able to be in the same room as this game. It is bright, loud. It's like, if you see its logo, I posted a picture of it too. The logo has that heavy metal aesthetic where it is indecipherable. You cannot tell what that logo says.
Wow.
You can't read it. It says no longer human. Once you know it says no longer human, it's like a Magic Eyes poster. You can like, oh yeah, I can kind of see it in there now. If you cross your eyes and like put it really close to your face, you'll be able to see the words no longer human. Yeah, that's coming out next year, and it is just really fast. It has some cool combat, and it lives and dies by its aesthetic, and its aesthetic when you see it in action is so fucking cool. It's when you live in a world, when you live in like a marketplace where these kinds of games just exist, like this sort of like 2D side-scrolling action platformer with like slash and combo mechanics. It's like, you go to Steam, it's filled with thousands of these. Like, you know, XBLA, like Summer of Arcade, just had nonstop 2D side-scrolling action games. But like this one just has one of the coolest aesthetics. It's that Zach obviously was saying, like, we live in a post Cruelty Squad world now where this is the kind of shit you need to do to separate yourself out from just what would be your typical game in this genre. And these, you know, it's absolutely right with this one. It's
crazy,
beautiful. And like, it looks crazy. And again, this trailer absolutely doesn't do it any justice. That ring effect isn't really there when you're playing it. I think that's just it thumping along with its weird metal techno music. But it still doesn't mean that it's not absolutely ridiculous to look at.
It's making me definitely go into like having problems.
Yeah. Put the trailer off now. It's fine.
Yes, please.
It's the same thing over and over again. Yeah. But yeah, that comes out next year. Yeah, it was announced at the show. It was the first time showing it off, and it was a popular game. You could see people were by the time you got to like Sunday, word of mouth had gotten around, and people were really like lining up to see this game. It was the first thing I played on the show floor. I got there Friday. And it's the first thing I saw and the first thing I put my hands on. And I was like, yeah, fuck yeah. They were off to a good start here. All right. So the last two things I'll talk about were from Thunderful Publishing. And the first one is called Fire Girl, a hack and splash rescue. It's cute as hell. Do you remember what was the Way Forward firefighting game? Do you remember that one? The police officer game, not firefighting. It was what they did several of them.
Yeah.
It's a 2D like kind of hand-drawn-y side-scrolling adventure game or action game, but it kind of has Super Mario's Sunshine mechanics.
Oh wow.
So you have your fire hose and you're putting out the fires, and you're using your axe to chop down the doors, and you're using the fire hose to get you to higher ground, and you have to refill your hose. Like,
that's cool.
Get in the water, and you're rescuing people throughout the buildings and stuff. And there's not much to say about it, but like it's just one of those games where like everything kind of comes together in this little demo build where it's just like, I can definitely see me playing through this thing like all the way through. It just works really, really well, and it feels fun. Like I said, it's like a 2D Mario Sunshine. I dig it.
It already looks better than Pokemon Arceus.
Yeah, it's beautiful. You don't like it. Shouldn't look like the lighting shouldn't be as good as it is in a game like this.
Great,
but like it's so good. Like the fire effects really like do something for me in this game. I love this game, and I like Hack and Splash Rescue. That is a very cute subtitle for a game. Like Fire Girl was already just kind of generic enough, so it's nice to throw that on there. So yeah, that was
nice.
what was probably the second longest wait at the show.
Really?
Not this one. The next game that was at the same booth. The only reason I played Fire Girls because I was there to see Cursed to Golf.
Oh yeah.
Which is like when I knew it was there, I was like, this is the thing I want to see the most. And clearly everyone else had the same idea because that game had quite the line for all things considered. This game fucking rules. It is what was the Worms Crazy Golf kind of shit?
Oh yeah, yep.
So it's funny I like it when you change the rules of golf a little bit, like for these kinds of things. Like it's definitely a 2D. What was the iOS Endless Golf? Was it Endless Golf?
Something like that. Yeah.
Oh, the one where you just like it just kept going to a new hole.
Yeah, Infinite Golf or Endless Golf or whatever. It plays like that, where it's just like you're just 2D side scrolling, and it's like angle, go, and then you're going.
Desert Golf? Is it Desert Golf?
Desert Golf. Yes, that was it.
All right.
So it has very similar mechanics to that, but it has a card mechanic. So like you're collecting these power ups because the gimmick to this one is every level you start with 5 shots. And that's what you get. If you use up all your 5 shots before getting into the hole, it's game over. You start over. You start the whole course over. Because you have a map that you're working your way through, like your 9 holes, and it's got branching paths and all this stuff because it's a roguelike. So but there's statues littered throughout the levels, and when you hit the statues, silver statues get you 2 more shots, gold statues get you 4 more shots.
Okay.
So there's a risk reward system. Like, well, I could.
How many shots are you going to lose trying to get to the
statue when you can look ahead and see, like, well, I could just try to blast through this and I might be able to make it. But it usually almost always behooves you to go for those statues, but sometimes it really is a risk to go after them. As you can see, like, there was the one on the trailer there that was in the middle of the water. Like, and you only have 3 club types. You have your driver, you have your iron, you have your wedge. There's no putting. There's no anything. Driver is obviously your long distance power shot. Irons are just your normal sort of hit, and the wedge is just for a lob. So that's what you're gonna find yourself like you get in like these tight corridors, and you're gonna want to use like the iron to sort of like blast straight through it. But you're gonna want to like some of those statues. You're gonna want to just like lob it up and have it land right on the statue, or lob it up and land it on top of these dynamite boxes to create a shortcut. And you get power-ups. You get things that are like, slow down time, give you a mulligan, multi-ball, so you get like 3 shots. Like you hit it once, blow up the dynamite, hit it again, get a statue, hit it again, and do whatever you want to do with it. And it chooses whichever one has the best lie is what ends up being your in the multi-ball. So and there's ones that are just like add a shot. Like you get to add 1 shot to your shot counter. It's cool. It's fucking cool. It feels good. It plays really well. Like you pick it up and you immediately know how to play this game. There's no problems with that at all. Yeah.
So I read a little bit about it.
The story is really cute too.
Yeah.
Because you are a pro golfer. That you're
like the greatest, basically.
Right? Yeah, and on the winning putt of a championship game, you get struck by lightning and get sent to golf purgatory. And the only way to get out of golf purgatory would be to play through all of the stages. Yeah, play this undead golf thing. And if you get out, you get back to the world, and you're going to get your championship trophy that you were just about to win on your winning putt. So it's a cute story. Anyways, I interrupted you. So
I was just gonna say that like it's they call it a golf-like and not a rogue-like. Because it's I just literally listened to the latest 8-4 Play podcast, the second best podcast about video games on the internet. and they actually had Liam Edwards.
The first being the Giant Bomb cast, and then we're like,
no, it's side questing. Hello, no, no.
Nobody knew we had a podcast that I gave the business card to.
That's true. Oh, you got a podcast? I know you have a party list.
You have a party list, but you have a podcast. Oh, cool.
Yeah, I should list the podcast on the party list. Say, please listen to the podcast.
Next year, I'm going to need some more business cards. You're going to have to put home of the party list on.
I love that idea. Yeah. Okay. We'll do that. No, but they had Liam Edwards on, and he mentioned that he what did he say? He like there's essentially like 80 different levels, I guess.
Yeah.
And then they're divided into like easy, medium, difficult, and like types, and then so it'll scroll through like the easy levels at the very beginning and then kind of branch off of there depending on how you're playing. And it's essentially based around the Greenskeeper that's on there, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
The Scotsman. Yeah.
The Scotsman. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. He interacts with you. He's also the shopkeeper. So he runs the clubhouse called Eternity. It's a golf
I
pun.
got it.
That's a pun.
Yeah. No, it's great, and you get to drive the golf cart from level to level. So it's got everything you need from a golf game. Tiger Woods doesn't even let you drive the golf cart. So
no, I know a few of us were really kind of looking forward to this game. So
if you were excited for it just by the announcement, just know that it is as good as you want it to be. Like it really is. Like I said earlier, I like them like taking the concept of golf and sort of like stripping it down and making it like something that it's not, but still like you recognize it as golf still. We've got 1,000 golf games, and they're all relatively good, but like sort of changing the rules of golf to make it more like treat it like combat almost without any direct combat is a really cool idea. And I love the way they did how the way they, instead of focusing on, this is a par 5, get to it in par 5. No, you get 5 on every hole is a par 5, but it's up to you to make it.
Except if you don't make par, you die.
Exactly.
Yeah. So if you're deep into the course and you fail one of those things, it's just like any roguelike. You start from the beginning again. So good luck.
The very beginning, but you've learned. You've learned a lot.
Yeah, you've learned, and you've gotten some, stuff along the way. So
when's it coming out though?
Sometime next year, they said, right?
Yeah,
they're aiming for Q1, but
they want to get it out early next year, but there's no firm.
Sure. Awesome.
I don't. This is one of those things like you see it, and you're like, I don't expect it to be like. It's gonna just keep getting pushed back until it seems like they got the core of it down pretty well, and it wasn't like running janky. Like Turbo Overkill was running fucking janky, like it kept crashing. Like
the guy next week,
the guy before me was playing it, and all of a sudden the game just started like he was playing it, and then just out of nowhere the game started running at like 10 frames per second, and the guy had to get kicked. Like, okay. You got to go. We got to. I got to shut the computer down and get back in there. But that's the PAX experience. You expect the games to break on you once in a while.
Yeah.
It was nice not having to deal with a crowd.
That's cool.
It was. You could just do stuff. You could see things. There was a whole floor dedicated to playing Steel Battalion.
They finally had the space, so
yeah, exactly.
They could bring one controller in. That's awesome.
It had it's the most Space Battalion I'd ever seen in one place.
That's actually really cool.
It was like 10 full units, and it seemed like they were planning on doing like tournament or something going on in there. Like they were doing some sort of LAN party with Steel Battalion, which I'm like, I wish I could get involved in this right now, but I can't. I wish there was a way for them to figure out how to bring Steel Battalion back and not like that shitty Kinect game that they did for the 360.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
But like in order for Steel Battalion to come back, it would have to be like this weird limited thing just for like, this is just for enthusiasts, and like we've partnered with limited run games. There's going to be like 5,000 of them, and that's it. And they're $250. But because like I missed out on buying Steel Battalion when it was like you used to be able to get that game for like $80, and now good luck.
Like every game from like that era or beyond or before then, it's like
yeah. Oh, you can get the game for nothing. It's the controller that's gonna get you. Yeah, but
so PAX.
Yeah, PAX was fine. You're gonna see a lot of people. If you go to the Reddit, if you went to the party list on the party group on Facebook, that was an experience. That was a good weekend.
That was weekend reading. Yeah,
the people were really complaining about the size of it because it was a lot of audacity to charge what they were charging for a 4-day pass for this. Because I forget what it was. It was like $160 or something for like a 4-day pass. Yeah, it was the most. I think it's the most a 4-day pass for PAX has ever been.
Wow.
But it wasn't worth. I got the media pass. We got our own special entrance this year. It was great.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I got to bypass right through the stuff, go right through the front doors. They hurdled. There's 2 entrances. There's one off to the side where all of the common folk get to go through, and then like everyone that's got like a media, medical, exhibitor one gets to go straight through the front doors, and everything else is blocked off, and everyone has to go through metal detectors now too.
Did you see a lot of? Was there a lot of other media there, or
no?
No, it was us. It was basically. Yeah.
I saw 2 other like media badges.
Wow.
It was and it's like nobody in their right mind would travel to there. I'm 45 minutes away. It's fine for me to go there. I made it a weekend. I booked a hotel. I haven't been able to really hang out in Seattle in a while because honestly, Seattle sucks. The nice part about the Seattle trip this year is you have to wear a mask the whole time, so you don't have to smell Seattle.
Yeah. It's always a positive.
Yeah. But I made a whole I didn't just do PAX. I went to the marketplace. I did all that other stuff. But I had a weekend and watched a wrestling pay-per-view in my hotel room last night. So,
yes.
Yeah.
So I would say it sounds like if you knew what you were getting into.
if to you what PAX is going and hanging out with a community, this was the best PAX has been in a very, very, very long time.
Okay.
Because I think we even said it earlier in an earlier show when we're talking about like E3 and like what E3 needs to do, and we're saying that's like it needs to sort of adapt. One of these places need to sort of adapt to like the Comic-Con mentality.
Yeah.
And this really felt like this was PAX sort of doing without having big people there. It really was just about like hanging out with people, going to panels, listening to. I think the thing that would have probably made it a better show is if the big people showed up but weren't like showing anything, but like sent some people down and throw some panels on there to like talk about upcoming stuff or maybe some historical stuff or whatever. Like one of the things I did was I watched Ben Patton talk about the Worms for 45 minutes about
good old Ben.
About the history
of the show. Nice.
Yeah, about the history of Worms, and it was genuinely funny. Yeah, he kept checking into the timeline every once in a while as Worms releases to see if Margaret Thatcher was dead yet or not. And he made a good play explaining why he thinks that Worms has the potential to be one of the best esports games around.
Sure.
And when he described it and he explained why, you're like, he's actually kind of right. It actually would make a really good esports game. So I didn't realize that Worms was as consistent as it was. Like there's a new Worms game all the time. Like the gap between this one that just came out and the last one was 4 years, and that was like the longest gap that they've had in forever. So, but concerts were great. Concerts were back in top form. It was a really good. If it wasn't the middle of a pandemic, it would have been really cool because you really would have been able to. How much do they?
I think you meant charge.
Charge.
That was
for a 4-day. Like
4 days.
If you just wanted to do like a 2 or 3 day pass or something, it's like $80, and you go like.
You're talking about Worms. How much do the Worms games change?
Surprisingly a lot. Like there's a big kind of an aesthetic change between 1 and 2, but for the most part, outside of like Worms 3D, there hasn't really been a whole lot of change. But there were some dark periods in Worms lore. Like I said, I mentioned Worms Crazy Golf earlier. But like, yeah, I think if this weren't in the middle of a pandemic and you'd been able to just kind of hang out, like in the old days where you just like plop down on a beanbag chair and play Mario Kart with just
God, those were the best days.
Just
that was my favorite
strangers.
part of PAX East was just sitting down on a beanbag chair.
You know, I that part I didn't feel like I wanted to do this year. It was still there. They still had the handheld lounge and everything, and it's like all that stuff was there. All of like the console free play, the bring your own PC, all that stuff was still there. But it was kind of sad to see them not being as like filled as they are. But people are being cautious about this stuff because it is a pandemic, and you know we're all wearing masks. They're doing pretty good. I didn't really see a lot of people fucking up the whole mask thing. But if this PAX like just evolved just a little bit for like next year, but keep it kind of how this was, I'd be fucking into it.
Cool.
Like just have Nintendo show up and like, you know, just because they're
that,
sort of
that Camp PAX idea. Just work on that, and I think you have an awesome base for
the summer. Because like I said, this has like the summer camp feel to it without any of the aesthetic. All it needed was that aesthetic, and I think people would have been more cool with it. And
you know what? That's a great point. There's something kind of cool about, instead of just making this is PAX East, this is PAX West, this is PAX South. It's like, okay, it's just another show floor. I don't need to go to all, like, I only go to PAX East because it's the closest one to me. Why bother going to West or South? If there may be a release or two, but no biggie. But if they made like, okay, PAX West is now Camp PAX, PAX South is like Beach PAX or whatever, PAX East is like City PAX.
Like
all of a sudden, there's some cool stuff you could do.
PAX South by Southwest, where it's like got like give it like
there you
give
go.
it like give it that sort of aesthetic where it's just like it's a fucking musical thing, you know, whatever.
Really change it. I think there's some cool
because it is really nice to be able to sort of sit back and sort of enjoy time with a nice community, because you're so used to sort of just being absolutely defeated online. Like the people that you're playing online games with, like half of them suck, or I guess have shitty attitudes, and you don't want to deal with them, so you just turn the headset off and zone out. Or it's like people on Twitter are being assholes. Just go there and hang out and play games with people that are enthusiastic to be there, that want to play games. You're playing fucking Power Stone 2 with somebody that you've never met before and stuff. Like, that's fun. That's cool. It's cool to like have this offline analog video game experience with just people. And that's what PAX, when I first started going to PAX in those early days, that's what it was. And it was nice to sort of get that experience again. So
that's awesome. That's
awesome. Yeah. I'm going to be sad when PAX isn't this anymore. I wish there was more to do.
Northwest.
You're getting a bit crop dusted. But yeah, no, good times. I'll be interested to see the fallout. I guess I'll be. There's going to be a confirmed case. I don't think there's.
Of course, there's got to be.
But
something will come out of there.
But yeah, but I at this point, you just kind of wish that everyone just like you just make it vax only. Make it like, oh, you have a negative test result from 3 days ago. Great. You left the show and then like went to a stuffy bar, like in the middle of fucking hobo town of Seattle, and like who the hell knows? But yeah. Hopefully by next year we're through the thick of it, but I'm not. PAX East won't.
PAX East won't be. Supposedly it's coming back. I don't think it will be after the Delta variant, but get vaccinated, folks. We'll get there. Get vaccinated. Wear your masks as much as you can. We'll get there.
I got a sick new mask at the show too.
I was gonna ask that. That's one thing. The merch there could have been pretty cool. Do you have it in front of you or not?
No, because I threw it in the washer. Because it was a really nice Mass Effect N7 mask.
Oh, dude, that sounds dope.
It's fucking rad. Yeah, I got some cool merch. I got some of the merch in this room with me. Limited Run Games was there, so I got the
Okay.
PAX exclusive version of River City Girls with like a
Ooh,
hollow
that's gonna be
foil
worth a
cover.
lot of money later.
Yeah. Except I opened it because I'm not fucking.
That's worth nothing anymore.
Yeah, and it's got an instruction manual in it. It's got an
That's
instruction
cool.
manual.
That's cool.
Remember instruction manuals where it had like artwork? And shit?
Yeah.
And I also got a Neo Geo game because
I don't know.
is there a limit to how much what? I didn't read the
That you can wash those types of masks.
Probably I would assume so. Like any piece of fabric,
Yeah.
after a while
Deteriorates.
it deteriorates. But
Most of those masks, though, they do have pockets in there to throw a filter.
the filter,
filters,
yes,
yeah.
and this one does.
Yeah.
The N7 one that I got does. So that's
So if you got the filter, you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
You can. Cool, man. Cool,
Yeah.
cool.
So, great show.
So you talked PAX. Taylor, did you get a chance to play anything that obviously non-PAX related this past week?
Nothing new. I've been bumping back into No Man's Sky. I know we talked about
all
it
that
a
new
while
fun
ago.
stuff.
We all have, man. That game.
And
I brought my laptop with me, and I was fucking killed.
Did you really?
It is-
Nice.
It has resumed consuming me. There is no game that is as proficient of like, even if it's for only a week or 2 weeks, but just like sapping your brain space.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's extremely good. Yeah, I don't know. It's I mean, I think the amount of I'm not going to call it a mistake necessarily, but I started a new save because Zach is also going through.
Yeah, you
go
get
through it
15
again.
of them now, so that's good.
Yeah, and also there's plenty of them. So a bunch of the stuff that I'm doing so far, I've technically done. Although I already found a settlement, which is one of the big new things that they just added in. That and the snap grid base building. The base building in general is significantly better compared to when they really added and revamped it in No Man's Sky Next, which is when I bought it and first played it. So, yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy that it was good before without those things, like without a snap grid building. And it was like, still pretty good. The building without snap grid is just like exercise in frustration.
Yeah, it feels like you're just trying to like get lucky sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah,
it was a lot nicer. And yeah, I don't know. If you get into or know that your personality gets into any sort of harvest and like, it's a harvest and search game. It still is. It's just that the loop is extremely good on it and continues to be. So I'm going to try and explore it. Like as much as I've played of it. A lot of the stuff that they've added in, like the derelict freighters and I've never done any of it. The one thing that No Man's Sky is still bad at is making the amount of shit that they've added to the game easily accessible. I do not know still now, as somebody who's played it many times over many hours, I don't know how I would go out and engage in that content. I don't know how to find it. So, that's unfortunate. But I'm gonna this time I'm gonna figure it out.
Awesome.
Yeah, No Man's Sky. It's so good.
Cool. That's
fantastic. Yeah,
such a great game. Okay. Awesome. Yeah, I took this whole week off.
Oh yeah.
To play video game. I'm like, this is it, guys. Finally gonna catch up on all this. Like, and I mentioned it to you before, whether it was to you or to someone, I don't know who it was. Said I'm gonna play a different game a day. I'm just gonna pour like 3-4 hours into whatever game on Monday. I think I was going to dive back into Cyberpunk on Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday. It's a great big plan. And played 0 fucking games.
Valley.
I took
Oh
a
my
week
God.
off to play games, and I played 0 games, which is horrible because I had to catch up on work stuff. My daughter's first week of back to school, so helping her get ready. So that like took a day or two here, and you know, I think it was by Thursday. I'm like, I'm taking them all again on this week. Forget it. The staycations don't work. I'm just gonna catch up on every bill, every extra thing that I had to take. I think I finished a review that I had been sitting on for that tablet for so long. I'm like, I'm just
You
gonna,
did.
you know what?
You-
Forget it. Yeah, I did.
You did, yeah. You did push out a lot of stuff that
Yeah.
over that one day where it's just like, oh yeah, I did play that. No.
Yep. And I have other videos ready to go, JJ. So yeah, I figured, you know, I'm just gonna catch up. Let's just make it a catch up week, and I'll start this week. But we did get a review code. First of all, thank you to Triple I Games for sending us 3 review codes for the Switch game for Hindsight 2020, which can be available on a bunch of different platforms. They give us 3 Switch codes. Enter on the site at the site. Okay, go ahead. I think it's going through to Wednesday night. What day is it? 7th, 6th. So yeah, Wednesday night. Definitely enter. You might win. We got 3 codes for that. Hindsight 2020. So I've been playing it for review. I can only talk about the first 30 minutes of it. So let me throw this up to the screen here. So Hindsight 2020 is it's a morality-based game. You guys seen the video here. It's a morality-based game where you could do things that are ruthless. Like the battle style lets you do things that are ruthless, which is you can go ahead and kill people, or you can do things which are, they're saying it's called merciful, which means you don't actually kill them in the end. You're just you're letting them live, and your battle style is a little bit different. And depending on which of those you choose, however many battles you go through, the storyline can change quite a bit. There's a bunch of different endings to this. There's a bunch of different special powers based on which of those battle styles you take, and then things just branch off like from the onset of the game. They branch off like crazy. So first 30 minutes of the game, you play this guy Jihan. I think it's how you pronounce it, and he realizes that he left his town at its worst when there was this sort of infection, this evil infection invasion happening, and the townspeople were turning, and he felt horrible about it because his father was killed, right? And then so he ends up getting the chance to go back. He asks the gods to go back. He does, and he's able to kind of play out this day over and over again. Hindsight 2020, to try to right the wrong that he created, that he committed. And so there's kind of the opening scene right there of his father or whatever. And so now, again, you start off the game, and you can choose, depending on the battles, which battle style you want to. And it changes between each battle. So you can choose it, be merciful in one, or be ruthless in the other. It's really up to you, depending on what kind of enemies there are, how you want the story to progress, and so on. Visually, you can kind of see it there. It looks a lot like, it's got this like Skylanders aesthetic, which is kind of interesting. Like, I like that style. However, the subject matter is like very different. It's like there's a lot of death and carnage and sort of the moral issues. So it's the art style. I wasn't expecting the art style in this to kind of, be on the same page. So it's just kind of an interesting art style to take on. So a very heavy subject matter in a lot of these cases, a lot of blood, as you can see there. But the whole first area is sort of this training and tutorial session. And so you can see there, you can kind of make selections based on a lot of times like the BioWare games and or like Mass Effect and stuff like that, where you can make the actual choices if you want to go good or bad. But let me play this video one more time here. The combat system is sort of like the whole first portion that they want you kind of understanding, and how it gets to that point. Like, it's very combo based. It's actually it's all about the combo. They want you to nail. They want you to hit at least 6 times in a row. I think 6 is like the max combo that I've been able to get, and that may be the only combo you can get. And you can see on the bottom right corner, it tells you which number combo it is. And if you get 6 hits in a row, you can start to draw out this thing called Shakti, which is sort of the power essence. And if you get enough of it, then you can start unleashing like really cool special moves and stuff. But only if you get 6 hits. If you don't get the 6th hit in the combo, then you miss out on the chance. So it really kind of dangles that carrot in front of you to try and stay within the combos, be up close to the enemies, depending on if you're using melee or range weapons and stuff like that. So, that's the first 30 minutes is sort of like a tutorial and really introducing you to the story. And that's about all I can say for now. I can get more into it later next podcast when I'm able to fully talk about it. But hindsight 2020.
All right.
What is now I gotta look up because I was just about to say something, but I need to check. I need to look at something real quick.
Yeah.
Oh. I was gonna talk about something that I haven't playing, but I was like, wait a minute, when was the NDA on that? And it's not.
There's a
until
lot
next,
of stuff.
It's not until next Wednesday, so forget if I was gonna say anything. Just forget I was gonna mention anything.
What's interesting is there's a lot of stuff right now that there's a lot of like NDAs and embargoes and all this kind of stuff. It's like, oh, you can't play this, you can't. And we're getting a lot of codes. And we're getting a lot of codes right now, a lot of review copies for indie games because obviously everything else seems to be delayed.
That's all that exists right now.
That's all that, and God bless it.
Let's just say PAX could have been normal this year. What the fuck does anyone bring?
Right, exactly. What do you a game that's coming out in 2 years or maybe next year?
Right.
We don't know. Nothing's coming out this year.
Sony gets
I can't believe Sony wasn't there to answer the barrage of questions about Horizon Forbidden West and its release date.
Yeah, Death
and
Loop,
it's $10 $10 upgrade scheme.
Yeah, they went back on that.
We're diving into the news real quick here. We'll cover a couple quick news topics. That Horizon Forbidden West. Remember what they call dual entitlement and just the worst terminology.
Dual entitlement, man.
Oh my god. They walked back on that and they said, you know what? No. So really, the original story was you buy Horizon, you pre-order Horizon Forbidden West, and you don't. If you get the PS4 version, you don't get the PS5 version. I think it was maybe only one of the versions netted you that extra.
Yeah, it was like the digital deluxe or one of the more significantly more expensive versions.
Yeah, the $90 edition of the game.
Yep. And so they walked that back on this one. They said, "Oop, you know what? We made a mistake. We are going to let you do it. Oh, by the way, all future games you'll have to pay $10."
I don't like $10. Whatever. Okay. It sucks, but also I get it. Like that's the 10. You're making the $10 up if I were to buy the PS5 version or whatever. It's not like it's the olden times where like everyone was trying to figure out a way to like milk everyone. So it's like it comes with the online pass, but if you buy it used, you got to give us $10 to be able to play Madden online,
right? Or whatever.
Oh my god, I had written that out of my brain.
Yeah, remember that whole bullshit?
Yeah, I do now.
Go through your old like Xbox or PlayStation account and look at all of the old online passes you used to claim all the time. It's depressing.
But I get it. I understand it. I mean, you're already seeing it with like NBA, NBA 2K and EA games and stuff. Like they realize, you know what? Hey guys, it's going to cost. It's not necessarily that it costs more, and maybe it does. It's just that they're finally getting those prices to catch up to where they should be for games of this size, right?
Yeah, doesn't mean I have to. I get it, but doesn't mean I have to like it.
No, it's totally right.
So, I mean, this would be totally fine, except that there's the giant elephant in the room, which is the fact that this other studio just isn't fucking doing it.
Yeah, Xbox, Microsoft.
I mean, Microsoft isn't doing so. Exactly. Like this conversation makes it sound like, this is the thing that the industry is doing, except it's not. Because Nintendo doesn't have two consoles that they can do it on, and if they did, you can go either way on whether or not they would do it this way, Sony's way.
No, Nintendo will re-release a game, which they have done, and charge you more for it.
Already doing. But they put in at least a little more time in between the releases. But
that upgrade path still exists on the Xbox, just not for Xbox stuff. Because I definitely paid more money to be able to get the Series X version of Tony Hawk, and I already owned the digital deluxe edition of the Xbox One edition. So like that upgrade path still exists. It's just the third party's milking you.
Right.
Microsoft isn't. Microsoft is doing exactly.
And Microsoft is actually making effort for a lot of the games to try and do it. With their upscaling for their digital for their series
upscaling and sort of downscaling when they get to the cloud. I mean, they're really throwing in a lot of work.
There's some good and with everything just sort of being uniform. You have every console because you have Game Pass. So it's like you don't own you may not have a Series X now, but you've already got the games for it, my friend. It's just
that reminds me. I bought a Razer Kishi controller.
Oh yeah.
Because they were on sale on Amazon, the Android version for like $50, which is pretty good overall. I mean, it's like kind of like an average controller cost that they're normally priced at $100 for the record. And so I booted up Game Pass on Android, and so it's probably because I haven't played it in a bit, and I know that they upgraded to Series X hardware. Or they're still probably in the process of for all of the servers. But that was significantly more responsive than the last time that I did it.
Yeah, I totally agree. I find myself logging on.
Go ahead, Dally.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to say, I find myself logging on just to see how it functions, and it functions better every time I open it.
So I booted up Halo 5, which I had tried before. And was like, this is not playable. And this was, aside from the fact that like it's a game that probably should only be played on a significantly larger screen. Other than that, it was fine. I was like, man, I wish I was playing. I was like, man, I wish I was playing with a mouse and keyboard.
I bought this thing for that reason. I got this controller.
I have that. I have an Xbox One. I have an Xbox One S, so I have an Xbox One controller.
Okay.
But it's I don't want to have to travel with a specific with an entire controller. Good, JJ.
No, this reminds me of at PAX. Do you know who had a surprisingly significant presence there? Was OtterBox showing off all of their new like they have their version of like, here's our game controller for your phone.
Are they making game controllers now?
Yeah. And they're like, here's a screen. Like a screen protector you put over there, but it's one of those ones where it's like people can't look over your shoulder to see what you're doing and playing and stuff. And it's like they're expanding into this huge market of like Game Boy accessories, but for Xbox cloud streaming. Like I'm pretty sure there's going to be like a magnifier at some point or something.
Oh my god, magnifier, lift up light.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I was pretty impressed by the overall. The feel on it is good. But yeah, so I'm not working, not this coming week, but the week after, and I kind of like half bought it because of that, because I don't have a Steam Deck yet.
There's the
Steam Deck news.
But for real, like if I was doing it, I'd be like, yeah, I guess Steam Deck, I'll install No Man's Sky on Steam Deck and I'll be good.
Nice.
To feed my addiction, and I can't do that right now. So I actually the next thing I'm going to do is give it a shot with Steam Link and see how that works. So anyway, what were we talking about?
That's
that's pretty much what we were talking about.
That's all we were talking about. So yeah, so that's the Sony news. They do have an event coming up this week. There's that big Sony press conference later this week.
What are they going to talk about, man?
Can't wait.
I'm excited.
What are they going to talk about?
So that's taking place Thursday, September 9th at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern, which is great. I'm done with work that day, so it's perfect.
I mean, we're definitely going to, because we saw that tease earlier that people found and stuff, we're definitely going to get that Alan Wake remastered. Yeah. That's where that will be announced.
Yep.
Like that. Which makes no sense.
Hold on.
That classic PlayStation franchise, Alan Wake.
Wait, what?
You didn't hear about that? Oh,
No.
you've been asleep. So
Yeah.
they, you know how they're putting Alan Wake on the old Epic Game Store, right?
Right.
The HD. Well, apparently, it's also coming to PlayStation and Xbox as well. That
Yeah.
upgraded version.
People found like artwork and like
Mm.
back end stuff for the PS5 version and the Xbox version.
Gotcha.
Of Alan Wake Remastered or whatever.
Yep.
So
I mean, listen, I give Remedy credit because like everyone, Remedy right now is like, oh fuck, Control is doing really good. Let's capitalize.
yeah,
Um,
I would love more people to play.
well, I
Alan
mean,
Wake.
yeah, I mean, also Alan Wake is, I think, a great game. And with very, very few things quite like it.
Yeah.
You know, the only thing is that it is going to feel. I am probably not going to go back to it because, man, does it feel so dated? Where we're just past the point of tell the story by picking up the collectibles,
Yeah.
and it feels like a very, very old video game design. Control still had some of that stuff, where like there's little bits to pick up, but it wasn't.
It was more flavor than anything as hard storytelling like Alan Wake was trying to do. Where if you want the answers,
it was like, yo, this is the pages of the book of the story of Alan Wake, and
also some weird Max Payne 3 stuff going on.
Yeah, that's true. But it was also like, we're talking prime heyday of Chivo. This is like the Chivo heyday. So it's like pick up the collectibles. We got collectibles. Get all the pages.
Get all those coffee pots, man. Get all those thermoses. Collect every thermos, Taylor. You're getting all those thermoses again.
I never did.
And then you're gonna get the DLC, and you're gonna get all those thermoses too.
That's good. Why? But you really think that they're going to spend time talking about Alan Wake Remastered?
Well, they got 40 minutes, right? And so they're which is,
I guess they don't got much.
They don't have. Well, I think this is where we see God of War Ragnarok. I think we see Final Fantasy 16. I think we see Gran Turismo.
No, we're not seeing Final Fantasy 16.
Final Fantasy
16.
No
way.
I think we'll see.
Absolutely not.
I think we'll see something.
No.
We'll see something Final Fantasy. I'll walk that back. We'll see something Final Fantasy related, whether it's 16 or the remake.
It'll be like, it will be the title of Remake 2. It will be like that, thing. It was like the cloud will come.
No, wait, ready? Pixel Remasters. That's the big news drop right there. Exclusive to PlayStation. That
would actually be one of the bigger announcements that they could make, if you want me to be perfectly honest.
Actually, a lot of folks would be into it. Where you can change your own font.
I mean, look at
the font stays.
Yeah. Look at they'll.
That's the only caveat. You want this game, fine, but the font stays.
They'll tease more. They'll show more footage of Tsushima. That update. They'll probably show something for Horizons, because they haven't shown a whole shit ton of that game, even though they just delayed it. I mean,
I don't know. I actually think they won't talk Horizon I don't think so. It's gonna get a 30 seconds at least. It's gonna be like, hey, remember, don't forget that this game's coming out. You can't dodge Horizon on a 40-minute.
I don't want to see any more Deathloop, because I think we've all seen a compacted ass full of Deathloop. We know what that game is now. We know more. They showed next to nothing of Returnal, and that game fucking rules, and nobody bought it. And now we've seen a shit ton of Deathloop, and it's just like, okay.
And no one will buy it.
No one will buy it.
No.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of it was Capcom's was it Pragmata, that game that they showed off at the PlayStation thing last year. And there's all kinds of rumors out there right now. There's rumors that the whoever has the infamous remake or a remaster that's going to be coming out this year. And then there's The Last of Us remaster this year. There's
that fucking Last of Us rumor from that's going to happen. I just don't know if it's at this show or not, but that's going to happen. Because
it's Last of Us remake, right? Not remaster.
Yes, it wasn't because they were rebuilding the original Last of Us in The Last of Us 2 engine. Or
Engine.
whatever the fuck.
which is a
Right.
different engine than the original. Right?
Yeah.
And then there's
Oh.
rumors that they're going to be dropping a couple things that are releasing this year. Like they're
No, I
actual
know.
box things that are going to.
I know what they're gonna show this year. They're gonna finally show off Avengers Spider-Man DLC, right?
Oh, you know what? And that could be like, and this year,
Yeah.
Avengers Spider-Man. You know what? I think you're right. That's going to be a good call on that. Good call.
I'll tell you what,
It's
if
dumb.
if half the shit that you guys are talking about drops, this is going to be such a fucking abysmal show. Oh my!
You're
God.
gonna see the Ghost of Tsushima DLC for this. No, I think there's a lot of.
It is
folks
going to
talk-
be-
Yeah,
It is going to be mostly games that you've already played before.
yeah.
Just with a fresh coat of beautiful, absolutely gorgeous next gen lighting. Like, can't get enough of it. Just nonstop next gen lighting now.
Well, I mean, you're gonna see the updates. You're gonna see the updates on a lot of their projects coming up because.
Yeah.
I believe you're gonna see God of War. You're gonna see Gran Turismo. You're gonna see those two games. That's
I agree
that
with
I
that.
can. I will
I agree
bet.
with
I will bet my pinky toe, which I stubbed on the. That looks like it's about to fall off. I will give you guys that if it's not the case. But yeah, you're gonna see both those because they're both supposedly coming out next year. I mean, next year has the capability of being a phenomenally massive year for Sony in terms of.
I'm
games.
very
Will there be
curious-
hardware? No, but.
I'm very curious what the state is of PSVR 2 because they went out of their way to make sure that none of it's there, and they want to talk about it, but they never actually want to commit to anything. And I wonder, just like, is it just not good right now, or what's like I wonder, or is it just because nobody has a PS5? We can't be pushing out this PSVR
You know what?
bullshit.
A lot of people. There's more PS5 sold than PS4s at this point, which is crazy to think. But
No, I get out of here. What?
yeah, that the numbers, like Sony sales numbers, their sales figures show. Then right now there are at this point 9 months in or 10 months, whatever it is, more PS5s have sold than PS4s, which is crazy because I don't know.
You talking about? Are we saying time slice for time slice?
Or are we saying lifetime sales? Because I refuse to believe that's
it's time
lifetime
slice.
sales.
Yeah,
Okay.
time slice.
Oh, okay.
From
Okay.
launch-
So
from launch until now.
we're saying that the PS5 is on track to outsell for the same time frame.
No. The PS5 has outsold during the same time frame. The PS5 has outsold the PS4. It's
You
not.
gotta- yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah, I'll see if I can dig it
Yeah.
out.
Also, both systems had the PS4 and Xbox One both had really weird, slow launches because the Xbox One launched like shit, and the PS5 still left because the PS3 left a sour taste in a lot of people's mouths. And good stuff was still being released on the PS3 on the regular. Like Gran Turismo 6 came out like a week after the PS4 launched. Which, like, that was devastating.
Yeah, put it in the chat. Yeah, so there it is. Sony has sold 10 million PS5s. That's up more than 2 million from April. This is published at the end of July. It means PS5 continues to outpace sales of the PS4, making it the fastest.
So it's outpacing. The PS5 has not sold more units than the PS4 in total, which is what it sounded like at first.
It's sold more than this time frame of the PS4.
Correct.
Just this time frame. PS4 has 100 million.
Which again, still don't understand. It has nothing to play. There's no reason to buy it.
Yeah.
What are these people playing?
Because like
filling up the one hard drive with Warzone and then just calling it a day.
Like, is Returnal the only like exclusive thing? Like
Ratchet
you can only play Ratchet and Clank. That's right. So those are your two games that you can only play.
Spider-Man, Miles Morales, Ratchet and Clank, Returnal.
But Miles Morales is on PS4.
And the Miles Morales is on PS4? I don't think it is. Oh yeah, it is. It is on PS4.
It is.
Yeah, you're right.
It came out on PS4.
But no, the little robot guys, right? The free game that's the little robot
like
guys.
the game that comes with the system. Yeah.
Astro's Playhouse.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's nothing that's exclusive.
Yeah, I mean, you buy a PS5 so you can play Ratchet and Clank and Returnal.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's and it's sold almost 10 million consoles. I don't understand.
I'll tell you why. That's the stupid. That is a big. That's the situation that we're in, because people are buying Pokemon cards and Magic the Gathering cards and shoes and NFTs and stonks and Bitcoin and Dogecoin and PS5. It's literally just the buy the biggest thing, right? Just buy it. I don't care what it is, buy it. And everybody got caught up in it, and they're all buying it right now. And meanwhile, I'm telling my neighbor, like, I had friends who would ask me, like, what should I get? I'm like, get neither. Which new console should I get? I'm like, you have it. You have the newest. You have an Xbox One original. I have my original Xbox One, and it plays brand new games that are coming out on Game Pass.
Yeah.
And I'm streaming the best new games on my phone that are on Xbox. I'm like, you don't need it. You're good. You can wait.
Yeah.
And then you're like me. You go ahead and pre-order the Halo Xbox One.
I mean, like, look,
Series X.
I know I have them just because that's what I do.
Yes, exactly. But I've been telling people, like, you do not need anything right now. And yes, Microsoft's structure for all of this is way better, because they're basically saying, if there's no consoles out there, don't worry, you'll still play those games. And when that console's available, guess what? You have all those games already.
Yeah. Microsoft is doing a really good job with the messaging of Game Pass. Like, it started off really kind of rough with Game Pass because it just wasn't quite there yet. But like, they've nailed the messaging, they've nailed the library. You know what's coming. They're very open about what's coming, what's going. Like, they tell you when something's leaving. They tell you months in advance when something's leaving, when something's going, when something's coming. They've done such a good job at making that like the important like tentpole of.
And then service. Aren't they adding console streaming to One S?
Yes, they said they're adding the console streaming to the One S.
Yep.
Yeah.
So basically, you're going to be able to kind of get that uptick onto Series X quality, and I'm assuming this is probably going to cap out at 1080p. But yeah, I mean, it's like, hey, you have a 1S and you want to play those Game Pass games, and you're like, oh man, but a 1X is so expensive, but $15 a month for Game Pass isn't. And you're like, oh, sweet.
Yeah, and a 1S costs you like $150. So there you go, man.
Yeah,
it's really nice because remember, the Xbox 360 is one of the greatest game consoles of all time. Mm-hmm. Like, despite all of its hardware issues that it had early on, everyone had one. We all loved it, and it sort of created a lot of everyone's favorite games of that generation. Whether it be
I went through seven or eight of them.
Yeah,
Xbox 360s, just because they kept failing.
Yeah,
I love that device.
I had to send mine back 4 times.
Yeah, I think mine too. Yeah, something
until
like that,
until they released like the hardware revision finally, and then I never had to replace it again, which is surprising. But they did. They fixed it. They figured it out eventually.
Yep.
But like, it's nice to see them like, okay, guys, we recognize it. We fucked up. We fucked up bad with this with the Xbox One. We got this. We know what we're doing now. So here we go. Mm-hmm. They turned the Series S into like the 362 at the end of the day.
They really did. They really did.
Yeah.
I wish they would bring back the Summer of Arcade though. I really do miss the arcade stuff. That stuff was always so fun.
Now it's just the Steam sale.
It's just like this nonstop feeding tube of indie games now though, and they all come to Game Pass. So
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I mean we're past the days of the traditional indie split, right? You know, like that's what XBLA felt like. It was kind of the last vestiges of this is an indie game. This is not an indie game. Yeah. You don't have not indie games come out on XBLA. And when something that felt almost like a AAA game comes out on, it's like, oh wow, this is the standout. This is Limbo. This is you know. Anyway, any other news?
No, there's a couple other things here. There's the whole tripwire stuff. There's a bunch
No,
of
yeah,
other things.
let's not talk
I
about the
don't wanna-
tripwire stuff.
I think we're good. I think we're good for the night. We've already been talking for like an hour and 20 minutes here, and it's 11 o'clock on the East Coast. JJ is just getting ready for his evening. Yeah, I'm going to bed too. JJ is just getting ready to go party.
I am fucking exhausted from this weekend. I've used muscles that I haven't used for like a year and a half this weekend. So it's
well, thank you, JJ, for braving. I mean, it is appreciated. It's the stuff I'm interested in every single one of these games. I'm still so close to getting an Oculus. Captain Toonhead looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Fire Girl looks great. Curse to Golf, obviously Curse to Golf. We've been talking about that. So, but thank you, JJ, for braving PAX. We can find you at _J and at Disney Compendium.
Yeah, new episode just dropped finally. Back on track. We're about to drop another new episode any day now.
Nice.
Friday.
Nice.
So yeah, back, baby. Yeah.
Taylor, we can find you at Taylor Bliss, can't we?
Yeah, mostly on this podcast though.
And mostly on the podcast. You like Sam, mostly on the podcast. That's good. Right, Sam?
You need to. Yeah, Sam gave us the thumbs up. You can't see him. You have to. You never promote the Discord. You have to start promoting the Discord because
that's true. You know what? There you go. You can find me at Donowski, sidequesting.com, at sidequesting TV on Twitch, and sidequesting on YouTube. But come to the freaking Discord. The link is in the post here. It is a blast. A lot of good people in the Discord. We have a lot of fun. We joke a lot. We talk a lot of good stuff. We talk a lot of game. But it's a great community and it keeps growing. And a lot of the PAX folks just came in and it was awesome.
Yeah, Taylor has sequestered me and Zach to our own private thread to talk about VTubers because he does not want
to.
Yeah. Come join us and that.
You belong there.
I don't argue that, honestly.
My biggest mistake, making Taylor an admin. Good Lord Almighty.
Yeah, sorry for bringing the uplift to everybody else's experience in Discord.
Sorry for making everybody feel good about themselves. We hope you felt good about yourself. I know I felt good about myself, except for this indigestion that's starting to come up. But I'm ready for bed too. We'll see you on the next episode of the Side Quest. Bye-bye. Have a happy week.